Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Talking Triathlon, where James Bale, the lovely gentleman across the internet from me, talks triathlon to me, Tim Ford, about swim, bike, run, triathlon, sport. James, I think you know a bit about it. You used to do it. You do it a little bit sometimes. How you going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. As you can see, my location is constantly changing. So now I'm in a hotel in Birmingham this week. So, who knows? Who knows? Life is all right though. Went out for dinner with an old friend of mine last night and just wish it wasn't 6 in the morning. How are you, man?
Location changes, the fleece stays the same. I tell you what, listeners,
He
you give
stays the
him
same.
you give him a little bit of a compliment on one random outfit, and it's now 3 weeks in a row with the fleece. I think it's here to stay, guys. Or
It's
we've
I
actually just
was
bought.
discussing this yesterday with my dinner companion that I need a lighter mid layer, mate, because I haven't. This is too much for this time of year now. I find myself overheating, so I need to make a purchase that is slightly less than this, but still warm enough to keep you warm in the British summer.
Do you want to? I'm going to tell a story now that, again, nobody listening to a triathlon podcast gives a shit about Tim and James talk fashion. But I made some purchases yesterday. I've entered a new phase of my fashion period, and that is I bought myself a cardigan.
Interesting. Good
Yeah,
choice.
never been a cardigan man, but I got myself a cardigan now because, yeah, I think it's just cold enough. Or actually, it's been horrific, but I can't go short sleeve. I need a long sleeve, and I don't really want to have
A
a
few years
jumper.
ago, I wore a cardigan on the podcast, and you rinsed me for it, mate.
Mate. Oh, I that's why I'm not wearing it right now.
Welcome to the fold.
Welcome to nearly 40. You must be. No, it's a nice cardigan, but anyway, nobody cares about that. What they do care about, though, while we are talking about fashion, because the response online has been absolutely overwhelming, and that is, of course, to your new race suit, which is coming. It has been ordered. It has been designed.
I didn't know anything about this until I saw that post. Um, it's very unlikely I'm going to wear that.
Oh, you are. You definitely are. How many other people are there going to be out in that T100 race course without their face on their kit? No one. You're going to be the only person with your
It's
face on
hellish.
the
It's
kit.
horrible design.
It's amazing. It's basically polka dot. In fact,
It's
that's what we could
polka
call
dot,
it.
yeah.
How could you combine polka dot and bale? Baler dot. It's a baler dot, a Jimbo
Andy,
dot, a Jimbo dot.
because you put that post up as who did it better,
Yeah,
Horseful Turner or Bale. He'd
yeah.
already sent me a picture saying, rate my impersonation of you," and I said, "Mate, you come nowhere close. I mean, I'm too good looking to replicate." But I didn't know that you'd put that post up. But did he know that?
Oh yeah, where do you think I got the photo from? Because
Uh,
Andy, so people, you'll know pro triathlete Andy Helsel Turner. Andy was one of the first people to see a sneak peek of that tri suit as well. Because me and Andy chat, mate. We have chats. And, mate, I'm not even joking now, James. The response has been like overwhelmingly positive. I'll have to send you. So many people are just like, "This is the best thing I've ever seen. Where can I get one? I want to race with Bale all over my body." It sounded horrific. Um, but maybe we're onto something here. This could be the new Talking Triathlon branded gear is just so
I
many
mean, if
versions of your
people want to
screaming
buy it and we
face.
can make some money out of it, then fair play.
We should. I'd love to do like the cardboard cutout faces, and when you're racing. So maybe what we'll do is we'll find out how many of our listeners are going to be at that T100 event you're racing, and I'll just pay you to get like 150 cardboard cutouts of your face with the eye holes cut in it, and then all these random people on the side of the course. Or we'll get somebody, maybe I'll get Andy Horsford Turner, for example, to go ahead of you and like on a bike and just throw them out into the crowd. So as you come running through, everybody's got the face mask of your screaming face from that 10K you did last year. So yeah, something like that would be brilliant.
The only thing that upsets me most about seeing those pictures get posted, the is reminding myself quite how much weight I was carrying at that point in my life. So I'm not that I don't like those pictures.
I'm sorry, but I love them, and I don't see anything. I don't look at anything except I look. I will even what I'll do this favor, Jimbo. I will get AI to make you like I'll get like an Arnold Schwarzenegger version of the body, so it's still your face, but I'll just get it put on like Arnie's body, and then I'll get everybody to replicate it with the King Charles chasing you, the Velociraptor chasing you, the Indiana Jones boulder coming behind you. Because every time I have to find that photo, I have to scroll back down my photos and they're all there. And it makes me laugh every single time because there are some absolute bangers. But again, enough about this. Guys, if you want to see those things before everybody else, like the kit and whatnot, head to patreon.com/talking triathlon. We are recording a bonus episode tomorrow. This time tomorrow, we will be recording. We're going to do a fantasy super try draft. I was telling Jimbo before we hit record that it's actually something I'm living right now in real life. So it'll be, I think, a fascinating conversation. Jimbo, mate, there is, as there has been for the last few weeks, a lot of weird things to talk about, not many big things to talk about, plenty of races to talk about. And I wanted to talk or guess or understand where you'd like to start because one thing I think stands out to me as probably one of the more weird things we can discuss this week.
Go ahead.
Oscar Pistorius is a 70.3 athlete.
Yeah. I saw this in the group. I hadn't noticed it in the wider world until somebody dropped a note in the WhatsApp group saying that Oscar Pistorius had done, what was it, 70.3 South Africa?
Durban.
Durban, yeah, presumably because he's under license, isn't he?
What does that
So
mean?
presumably he had to go and I read the article that he had to get permission from his parole board to travel to Durban. Now, Ironman doing Ironman things, isn't it? It's not a decision if I was in charge of the I wouldn't have let him race.
Do you think that they like? Do you think they've realized? I'm assuming he just entered as a like regular. He didn't get put like as a. I mean, look, it's not like they're like, hey, we have celebrity athlete Oscar Pistorius coming to race.
No. Do you think they realize? Well, I mean, there was a couple of voices in the group that said, yeah, as soon as he registered, they would have known. Um,
I didn't even know he was out
I
of jail, to
think
be
so. I
honest.
mean, you say,
I didn't even know he was out of jail, to be honest. I thought he. I've not obviously followed it very
yeah, no,
closely
I didn't
since.
either. I didn't either. Look, I mean, there's an argument, isn't there? There's an argument out there for once done, you've committed a crime and you've served your time, you have to be able to reintegrate into society. But there's an element of like, oh, to it. Just, oh,
It's not even like he could fly under the radar. Like it's not like. I mean, again, one thing is if a name Oscar, I'm sure there are other people in the world who are called Oscar Pistorius that exist, and they probably like, oh God, it wasn't me. Don't. It's probably quite triggering for them. So there's the possibility that they thought, oh, it's probably just some other Oscar Pistorius. The chances of it being convicted murderer can't be him. And then he rocks up on race day and he's got the blades out and everything. People are like, oh no, it's him. Like you can't, they see the like Oscar name on the name thing and then he's got the blades and they're like, are you that? He's like, no, no, I'm someone else called
imagine
Oscar.
lining up next to him to start the swim. It's like,
I know you.
you did stuff, man.
Well, mate, they do
Right.
say there's no such thing as bad PR, and it certainly got us talking about 70.3 Durban, which we otherwise would not have
Well,
spoken
yeah.
about. But yeah, I agree. I think this is, as I said, a slightly weird little, yeah, good old triathlon. What can you say?
Good old triathlon. I mean, the question, I've already said I wouldn't have let him race, but would you? Where do you stand on this morally?
I think what you said earlier is a pretty valid point that once you've done your time and everything, the assumption is that this to be like the slate is meant to be clean, right? And it's
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm all for if I do believe in the power of triathlon to do a lot of like I think there's a lot of positives from it. I think that if a person is out there for the right reasons, then I have no problem with it. If it is a bit of a publicity stunt or something like that, then it is a bit like question. If he signed up for himself, if he's paid for his entry, if he's trained for himself just for himself to go and do it, I'm all for it, right? I think that's fine. Yeah, it'd be a bit different though if like it turns out that he's got a crew following him to tell a documentary story or something like then I'd find it a bit more. Yeah.
If he's making content, or even if Iron Man were leveraging it, let's say.
The scary thing is that I actually wouldn't be surprised if Iron Man did. Like honestly, like, I'm not trying to be. This isn't for laughs or anything either. Like we know that they've had convicted drug cheats, win age group races at World Champs and have been celebrated or had the handshake by the CEO and things like that. I actually wouldn't they're always going for that comeback story, right? That story of the person over. Yeah, I don't think they would, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did a little bit. You?
I don't think they will, but if they did do it, it wouldn't be a bolt out the blue.
Yeah, that's
I
kind
wouldn't
of
be
what I mean.
flabbergasted. I would just be upset and disappointed.
Mm. Well, look, we've given it more oxygen than it probably deserves.
'Cause, what's his popularity in South Africa? Is he a popular man?
Look, listen, okay, I understand that a lot of people get confused between the Australian and South African accents, okay? But I am Australian. I've never
Oh,
been to
no.
South Africa. I don't
I
know, mate.
thought you might know whether he was like everybody's like, yay.
I genuinely didn't know he was out of jail. I honestly thought
I
for
didn't
like,
know.
well, how long ago was it that he got? It can't have been that long ago.
He
But
served like 10 years or something.
I would have thought for murder it'd be a lot more. So yeah,
Yeah, but was he convicted of murder or was he convicted of being a really angry man who fires a gun around in a house where he shares with other
yeah,
people?
reasonable. It's reasonably foreseeable that the threshold for murder would have been satisfied. I don't know. Again, I can't remember.
I
It's
think so.
I think he.
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'm
let's.
not caught in South Africa, am I?
This isn't a true crime podcast. Let's let's move on to the next thing we're going to talk about, and that is you. In fact, to be honest, you insisted. You insisted that we bring this up. You said this to me, and I said, "Oh, I don't really know if it's worth talking about this week." And you said, "No. In fact, if you do not allow me to talk about Lionel Sanders on this week's podcast, Tim, I'm out. I won't do it." So, Jimbo, tell me about Lionel Sanders.
Yeah, Sean Green has a little button he can push, which makes me it puts an electric shock up my spine if I don't talk about Lionel Sanders every week on the podcast. So this is me just getting it in there. Lionel's come out and released a YouTube video, and he's just gone sort of a yeah. I mean, there's the it's all about goal setting and how he still believes essentially that he can win the Ironman World Championship. And how in 2017 he almost did it. He said it was within his realms of possibility. So it should be so hard that you don't. That's not a sentence, Lionel. Shouldn't be so hard that you don't really know if you can do it. Do it. I don't know if I can win. If I ever win, it will come as a surprise. But I know I have taken literally everything in my being. That's my goal, and it will push you for 15 years to make you reinvent yourself over and over again. Um, Basically, he's saying he wants that one race at a world championship where he has done everything he needs to do to be able to win it, even if he doesn't. He said, if I can swim 24 low, if I can hold 370 on the bike, and if I can run a 108 low range off that kind of bike, then I know that is going to get me close to winning a world title. And if I do that and I finish fifth, I'm all good. I'm totally good. And then I'll
Are
go
you?
back to the drawing board after and be like, that was everything. I want to finish a race and think to myself, that was everything. I gave everything, and then my work will be done. I want to be able to say that was excellent. You trained excellent. You executed the race excellent, and everything you did was excellent.
Is he talking about Ironman or because that was 70.3 times? So is this talking that he wants a 70.3 world title?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Okay. I thought, yeah, okay, I get it now. That makes more because I was sitting there going, I feel like he had that race in 2017, to be honest.
But
Um,
yeah, I mean, he's talking about 2017 and how he lost out to Patrick Lang. He's talking about gearing himself towards Nice. Obviously Nice is the objective this year. So with those times, he's talking 70.3, but this article is all about Nice and his focus
see,
being on Nice.
okay, I would say at this point in Lionel's career, I can't see him winning an Ironman title. To be honest, I've never really seen him winning an Ironman world title. I would be over the moon if he did. Like again, there's a difference between.
Same.
I'm not attacking Lionel Sanders. However, I think there is a very real chance that he could win a 70.3 world title. The way he
Oh,
has been
absolutely.
raced, the way he raced that St. George race, fuck me, man. Like honestly, the fact that he put how much time into Magnus and that so quickly, like if I just wish, and I feel like I've said this a million times on this show, if he just fully committed to 70.3 worlds, I think we could see Lionel Sanders win a world title. And I would, again, nothing would make me happier because the years that he's done it, it's it's like this weird cycle where I know that he got was it disqualified or the penalty for crossing the imaginary center line? I think that was in That was in Finland in Lahti. And then we sort of bounced back, and then he goes to Kona last year and does an individual time trial. And like he's on form with the 70.3. We've seen him be exceptional. And I mean exceptional at every race. Every race he's done this year at 70.3, he has been exceptional. So let's just here we go. This year, fuck Nice. It ain't your course line. It is way too technical for you, mate. Don't even worry about it. Let's just go see you go and do 70.3s in Marbella. Please. I genuinely think if he was on it, he could win it. Like, not even being just for content sake, I could see him win a 70.3 world title. Like if I put him, if you put him into that 70.3 Topol course last year, I think that we would have probably seen a world where he rode up to that front group just through sheer grit, gets off the bike with that lead group. And yeah, what would have happened? Would he have been like, I genuinely think he would have been in the mix. And yeah, I could see him win a 7 point. Yeah, Ironman, I'm not sure, especially not in Nice, but I think yeah, Kona maybe. Although I just feel like that perfect race he's already had was 2017. Uh, it,
Yeah, I mean, he said he's already floated that he was thinking about moving his family across from Arizona to prepare in Europe for Nice
well,
specifically, to really go for it.
Nice sucks.
I think 17 was the one, and I think the amount of reinvention he's done to try and find that over the years means that there were probably some missed opportunities in that period where he didn't hunker down and commit to one methodology. Um, but yeah, his 70.3 ability is outstanding. And on his day, if he were to win an Ironman world title, it would be astounding. I'd love to see it. I am in your camp though, with I think his moment has passed.
Well, interestingly, we got a comment on our YouTube video last week that I'm going to bring up now. And we don't often do this, but it was from, I mean, the username I think is James Darklighter 8169. But he said, a pick for Super Try. Triathlon is not just about limits in endurance, but also the limits in speed. So who better than Lionel No Limits Sanders to show what he has in an all-out speed session? So my question to you is, I mean, we know that he did the esport games. Would you like to see Lionel Sanders, let's say in the context of this year, when I've just spoken about the fact that he's been so on target for 70.3 and things, like, would you like to see Lionel, even if it's not the whole series, right? But there's that Toronto Super Tri race and Chicago, both North America events. Would you like to see Lionel line up for something like that and have a crack?
I mean, there's two things can be true at once. I'd like to see it, but he would get absolutely dominated. He'd get smashed beyond belief.
The technical aspects I think would be challenging, but I would also I think that's a fair point. I would love to see it. I think he'd surprise us. I know that when he did the E games, he did surprisingly well. So yeah, I don't think. I mean, I know we've seen Cam Worth go and do it and not have the best result. I don't think it'd be the same. I feel like as much as there's you talk about natural ability or fitness or whatever, I think there's this mongrel in Lionel, and that's like, and I mean that as a compliment where you put him in a situation, he's not gonna follow the rules and go, well, I'm expected to do this. He's gonna go in there and just be like, I'm gonna fucking show you all. And I don't think he'd be smashed, to be honest. I think we'd see him probably finish mid pack, but he'd impress everybody. I'd rather see him go and race T100 Vancouver this weekend. Like
Oh, so would I.
I still
So would
cannot
I.
work out why that didn't happen. I mean, again, I'm assuming it
Just
is.
yeah, wildcard like park a truck full of money outside his house and wildcard that motherfucker up.
Well, every per look again. If you guys are watching or listening on YouTube, please let us know below. I can't imagine anybody wouldn't want to see him on that start list in Vancouver. The Canadian thing. I don't really know how many Canadian. I mean, I know that Paula Finlay's raced, but he is the most iconic Canadian long distance triathlete we have in the world. I think. And again, no disrespect to others. Sure, yeah. I really, really wanted to see him at that event. So. Uh, yeah, and I don't know where I'm going with that. I just wish he was in Vancouver. Yeah, Lionel Sanders update done and dusted. Should we move on to some results?
Yeah, let's do it.
Where do you want to start, Jimbo? I let you dictate this part now. Where are we going?
Well, Eagleman really is the race for the results, isn't it?
Eagleman happened over the weekend. Again, thank you to people who let us know that Eagleman is actually in Maryland. It's not just some. It's That's where it is. So thank you very much, mate. Some pretty good racing. Some pretty good racing happened in Eagleman.
Yeah, it really did. Should we start with the men or the women?
Let's start with the men.
Okay, interesting. All right.
Why is that interesting?
Because I had the wrong tab open.
Well, we can start with the women then. You should
No,
have just
no,
said we'll
I've
start with
changed
the
the
women.
tab now, motherfucker. Don't worry about it. We're back on. We're back on.
Do it.
Sam Long came first ahead of Trevor Foley, Matthew Collins, and Robert Callan. Sam Long finished in a time of 3:36.50 with Trevor Foley 3:37.13 behind him, and Matthew Collins rounding out the podium in 3:38.07.
Now, do you have the race? Because the race actually was pretty dynamic. I know that Robert Callan got off the bike with a bit of a gap, and it was funny because when I look, I haven't watched the whole thing. I watched bits and pieces of it, and because it was getting quite late at night here. But I think I made the declarative statement at one point. I think Sam Long got to the Robert Callan. I said, "Well, that's game over." And then about 10 seconds later, Trevor Foley rocked up. I went, "Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
whoops! I
I
didn't know that he
mean,
was still there."
it. I think the most remarkable thing is that Sam Long can get off in a race of this distance, can get out the water, sorry, with a 4:32 deficit to make up in a race of this distance and still win it. I think it blows my mind how unbelievably good he would be at the 70.3 slash T100 distance if he could swim. You
Yeah,
know, he would beat everybody every single time. So to be able to make up that deficit is remarkable. But Trevor Foley was just ahead of him, 4:14 off the lead. So both of them made their way through the race. Um, Callan Callan basically took control on the bike, and he had a gap of I think about 2:12 heading into T2. Um,
the
but
times are just
basically,
diabolical, mate. Like he rode a 154
yeah,
bike split. It's ludicrous. He followed it with a like a 114. So he's fairly off with the run pace. But you've got Sam Long and Trevor Foley who are running a 1:10.40, like 9 seconds between them, mate. Like to emphasize just how close it actually was,
yeah,
you
that's
know,
really cool, isn't it?
and the way that they both race,
Charging through the field together, basically on that half marathon, um, bridging up to Callan, and I think it was Long took control with about 5 miles to go. I think they caught Callan after about 4 miles, and he
yeah,
held
very
on
quickly.
for some while, but he didn't make it to the end. Fourth place for that man.
But you see, the thing is, right? It's Trevor Foller's in like he swam 27:30 for 18th male pro, and then you got Sam Long who swims a give me a second 27:49. Like they're actually just incredibly evenly matched. So they're both 20 like mid 27 swim. They both ran a one. They both rode 155, and then they're like really. This is what I sort of I guess talk about when I say sometimes with these races you need to sort of look at the athletes that are going to make the closest dynamic because like those two together if you watch the race, you see them come together at the end of it, and you're aware that they're coming up, but you don't really see it covered that way. Whereas if you take say Robert Callan out or whatever, or even just focused on these two, the race would be almost like a bit of an iron war, right? In the sense that they've basically raced within a minute of each other almost all day. Like almost all
Yeah,
day, and to finish within 30 seconds of each other or whatever, like very, very close finish time. Like that's fucking exciting racing, mate. Like that's really, really, the fact that they like literally look at how close their splits are. Yeah, I just find that very fascinating. That I for whatever reason, and it is probably the broadcast, the fact that watching it's not really made clear about where people are. I see Sam Long go to the front and get game over, and then Trevor Foley's. And look, there's been a question mark over Trevor Foley's form this year. He's not been in the best shape. But the excitement that I had when I take it back, I actually don't know what's about to happen here. And then there was this moment even where very quickly where they came up to Cal and the three of them were running together. And you see Sam Long sort of surge a little bit. And the gap to Trevor Foley gets, probably 20, 30 meters. And I swear I looked away or checked my phone. I look up and Trevor Foley's at the front. I was like, what the hell just happened here? So like I really think that this racing, like we spoke about this start list a couple of weeks ago because originally Lionel, who we just mentioned before, was on it. Like this has been a surprisingly stacked start list. I think the start list certainly did soften a little bit as we got closer. But again, it shows to me the power of this Pro Series. This Ironman Pro Series, again, I'd say had more exciting race. Like Eagleman 70.3. No, like yes, it's a Pro Series race, but it's a random 70.3 somewhere in America, Maryland, as we now know. This is a more exciting race to me than the T100 San Francisco, which has the contracted athletes, which has, all these things in place. And they're not getting paid to be there. There's no contracts. It's come who wants to come. And this is the sort of stuff we see. It's just,
Yeah,
again,
it's brilliant. And like you say, if you had cameras on those two tracking them through their race, they basically did two individual time trials against each other
yeah.
throughout the whole race distance. And then it came down to that final surge that Sam put in with about 5 miles to go, um, running a 1:10:49, which then beating Foley into the line by 26 seconds, which is remarkable how, like you say, how close their times are. There was 19 seconds between them on the swim. There was 13 seconds between them on the bike, and then 9 seconds between them on the run.
I know, like, exactly. That's what I mean. Yeah, I think I would love to see. I would have, again, hindsight's a wonderful thing, and I understand that that's not how it works, but I really would love to have seen if you could go back in time and rebroadcast this race following those two. So look, again, I'm not trying to. I think Robert Cal had an incredible, like that 154s are nuts, but almost you need the other people there for the dynamics, right? But if you're already with high, you know what's going to happen. So you're like, okay, let's just focus on these two guys because I think we're about to see something pretty special between them. Again, we saw it on the run, which is, I guess, where you really do want to see it. But no, I just think when you actually stop and think about it, it's just very uncommon that we see two guys race so closely across all three distances and end up first and second. Like it can't, obviously it's not Iron because it's not in Kona or anything. But yeah, just a
What
special
was the
special result.
broadcast like?
Iron Man again.
Yeah.
I watched half an hour of it, to be honest. Like I said, it was just as I was getting ready to go to bed because of the time zones. But um, yeah, I'm sick of talking about the broadcast anyway, to be honest. The other one that I want to mention though is Ben Canute, because Ben Canute was somebody that I was, again, I always sort of expect Ben to do quite well, but his run was a fair bit off, to be honest. He ran a 1:16:10, second out of the water behind Greg Harper, who's probably the best swimmer in the sport at the moment. His bike was 5 minutes off those guys. He rode a 1:59 compared to their 1:55s or 1:54s, and then he ran a 1:16. So he's six minutes off what Sam and Trevor are doing. Finished in seventh place with a 3:42. So he's 5.5 minutes back. And again, most of that time that he sort of pulls back from them is from the swim. So uh, yeah, that's Eagleman. Good race.
There
Well
you
done,
go.
boys.
There
Jimbo,
you go.
it wasn't just the men's race that was good at Eagleman, though, was it?
No, no, no. And the women's race was a different kind of dynamic. Lucy Charles took the win ahead of Chelsea Sodaro, ahead of Grace Alexander. Lucy Charles won in 3:58:10, Chelsea Sodaro 3:59:22, and Grace Alexander rounded off the podium in 4:06:05.
So again, from what I saw of this, Lucy was off the bike. She basically led Y to Y, like, first out of the water, first off the bike, first across
Yeah.
the finish line. But I know that when, again, I was watching it, and I think the commentary did a good job of this when they were talking about what sort of gap Lucy needs over somebody like a Chelsea. I did feel like her gut wasn't going to be big enough. I think she got off just under 3 minutes off the top of my head from memory. 2.5 to 3 minutes. And I remember thinking to myself, that is maybe not fast enough. Like that maybe isn't
Yeah,
good enough.
2:52. Yeah.
Yeah, and even watching it didn't visually, because you could see Lucy coming out of transition on the run course as they were going back in. Sorry, coming in on the bike, and I remember thinking that's more than two, like that's more than 3 minutes. It wasn't, because the timing things were accurate. I feel like I kind of thought that Chelsea would probably run her down, because if you look at it, so what we've got, Chelsea was a minute 11 behind in the end. So Lucy ran the whole day being chased, and again, not messing about. She still ran a 1:19:18, 3:45 pace. Like I think we do forget that Lucy is a very complete athlete. Like it's not like she's a super strong swimmer, okay, bike, okay, right. Like she's an exceptional swimmer, but she's also a very good biker and a very good runner. And yeah, maybe just because we've sort of seen her, she opted for Lanzarote this year, and she has been a bit on and off with injuries and things like that. We do tend to forget that a little bit, Lucy Charles. But again, I'm really getting excited about the potential of what's going to happen in Kona this year with, four athletes really, at least four athletes that could all really threaten. And I know I'm jumping ahead. Uh, Chelsea Sodaro back in form again, similarly has sort of been all over the place. So good to see her back on a podium. Any other little things that are worth mentioning for you, mate?
Yeah, man, for me, I mean, it's the way Lucy managed that gap. Like you say, it really does underline that she is a complete athlete and that it's not just a case of getting off the bike and needing a certain gap in order to hold people off because she Chelsea was reeling her in, but never it was about halfway that Lucy managed to stem the tide and increase her pace a little bit and stop that deficit coming down. And it never got lower than 111, I don't think. And Lucy finished with a gap of 111. So I think that's just really impressive validation of her as an all-round athlete. To know you're being chased down by Lucy Sodaro, who's a mean runner. I
Both
mean,
world
Lucy,
champions too.
Chelsea, hey,
Both world champion, both former
world
Ironman world
champion. Chelsea
champions.
ran a 1:17.26. Lucy ran a 1:19.18. So I just think Lucy managed that race really well.
I mean, the other thing, and look, this isn't to say that Lucy's old or anything like that, but Lucy has a lot of experience now, not only not just race experience, but she has big race experience. And she's used to being chased down. A lot of those second places we've seen her getting Kona, she's been run down on the run course and passed at the last minute, which is forced from necessity for her to work on the run. Because I'm looking at her splits right now. 25:10 for the first fastest swim, no surprises there. Third fastest bike with the 209, and then she runs the third fastest run for a 119. Like balance, mate. This is what I'm talking about. She's just across the board, top three across all three positions. And then I'll go to Chelsea's. So she's the fourth fastest swimmer with a 27:09, fifth fastest bike, but then runs the second fastest run split. So I guess it just does show that there is just more consistency from a Lucy Charles. And I genuinely think that if you put, say, a Taylor Nibbin into that field, or I mean, I think Kat Matthews had probably been in a very similar situation to Lucy Charles in the sense that she'd be right up there across all three. I mean, with the swim with Lucy, I think that'd be a bit more of a gap. But there isn't an obvious weakness in her arsenal, I guess you'd say. So no, I feel like yeah, this Kona year is it's looking good at this point, mate. There's like I said, some really yeah, the cards are being laid out for an exciting race, and all the athletes that you want to see in good form. Again, touch wood, no injuries, and everybody seems to be in relatively good form. I'd actually say at this point, the one that I've got the biggest question mark over is probably Taylor Knibb because she's been the most off out of all. She hasn't won a race this year yet, uh, whereas Lucy and Kat have been pretty exceptional. So. Yeah, Laura Phillip as well has been really those three. I mean, yeah, Kat lost to Laura, but I still think that you put all those athletes together, it's going to be a really exciting dynamic when we get to Kona this year.
I think so. And like you say, Taylor Knibb is the one who I think is the biggest unknown. We can, if all the athletes you mentioned have the race that we think we'll have a race on our hands. Taylor Knibb is the one who I think is a total variable going in. And I noticed the other day that she's decided to go dairy free to try and combat some of these GI issues she's having.
Which again, you're a professional athlete. If that's what you've got to do to work out, like credit to her. Like, I
Yeah,
am. I mean,
yeah, yeah.
it's not like she's doing. I'm going vegan like we've seen another athlete do in the past or anything. I think that it's a. I mean, like, again, I know people that have gone through sort of having to work out what a problem they have is, and you got to try eliminating certain products and then reintroducing them to see what the reaction is and things like that. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. Is that then her limiting factor? Because, like, genuinely, until at the end of last year, especially after she won that Dubai race, I thought she's winning Kona next year. And then in 70.3 hours, which she won, and again, it's very weird to say this as she was the winner. I did think that that gap was coming down to Kat Matthews was coming down too quickly, and if it was over an Ironman, she wouldn't have held on. then we saw what happened in Texas where Kat closed that gap. Like the first of the gap didn't ever get as big as we wanted. Kat rode the same as her, just with a gap out of the swim and then ran it down so quick and then put all this time into her. Yeah, it's just not where I would have expected. I felt very confident at the start of this year. I would have put a lot of money on Taylor Nib to probably win the whole thing in Kona, but she's probably got the longest odds for me at the moment. I'd probably be putting my money on Laura Phillip, Lucy Cat, than Taylor at this stage.
So the Ironman Pro Series, like we said, it's producing better races. It's stimulating the sport to produce better races.
Yep.
Do you know who's leading both the men's and the women's Ironman Pro Series at the moment?
Is Anne Reichman leading the women's?
Yes, she is. Who's winning?
And
Who's leading the men's, mate?
Christian Blumenfeld.
No,
Who is?
Cam Worth.
Get the fuck out. Actually,
Yeah, Cam Worth
is
is
that because
leading
he's
with
already done
nine.
has he already done his two Ironmans and his 370.3? So he's got all his points.
Maybe Cam Worth is leading ahead of Christian Blumenfeld, Jonas Schomburg, Leon Chevier. And on the women's,
Chevalier.
it's Anne Reisman, Kat Matthews, Daniela Lewis, and Marta Sanchez. It just surprised me that Cam Worth was leading the men's.
Well, he's done literally every race in the Pro Series at this point. I'm surprised he's not on the start list for Cairns this weekend. So he's
Because, like, look, it's great that it stimulates better racing, but I am week to week, day to day. I've got no idea who's actually leading the Pro Series or anything like that.
it's an interesting point you make, right? Because I will also admit I guess when I talk about it, I'm not that interested in the overall series. I'm just very
No.
happy that the races we're seeing are good.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
it does show a lot, right? About I feel like we were very adamant about this being a thing, that the idea of the season long narrative and stuff. I guess we don't need it, to be honest. I guess we actually just want to see really good races. And I mean, yeah, like I know that we compared it to F1 a lot, right? And we were probably caught up in a bit of the bug around the drive to survive and stuff. But even with F1 these days, I've even noticed I'm much more interested in the individual results than I am about the overall championship and the constructors and stuff like that. So yeah, yeah, food for thought. Food for thought. But yeah, we've seen some really good racing this year. And look, speaking of races, Jimbo, there's plenty to happen this weekend. There's some big races to happen this weekend. Where would you like to start with our race previews this week?
You choose, mate. You choose.
Cairns. Ironman Cairns. Ironman Cairns is happening this weekend. Now, for our Americans, that is Ironman Cairns. But no, we in Australia say Ironman Cairns. I was at this race last year. I am unfortunately not at this race this year, but it is looking the goods, mate. It's the Ironman Pro Series next stop. Have you had a chance to see the start list? Do you know who's racing? Do you know who's not racing? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, on the men's, we've got Brayden Currie, Matthew Markart, Mike Phillips, Sam Appleton, Ben Hamilton.
No, we don't. Sam Appleton's not racing.
Or is he not?
No.
Well, then it's things have changed since this started. So we've got Jamie Riddle, Josh
Yep.
Amberger.
And Hill.
Those are the big names that jump out to me there.
I think I saw is his name there? Yeah. God, why am I forgetting his name right now? I'm the American Matt Hansen. I think Matt Hansen's racing as well, and Nick Thompson. Nick Thompson, who we saw on the front of the race with Christian in Texas.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's some names on this start list. Uh, the winner from last year, Matt Burton, isn't back in Cairns. So we'll talk about the men's and we'll talk about the women's. But we've got Brayden Currie sort of starting his season here. Brayden has done very well at this race a number of times. Matthew Marquardt, the exceptional swimmer, who's had a sort, he's doing his medical placement or something at the moment to become a doctor. So I think he's certainly not as sharp this year as we saw him last year, but he's always a very good swimmer. Mike Phillips, my boy Mike broke the Ironman New Zealand course record earlier this year, smashed it, by 10 minutes or something, then crashed in South Africa. So this is his comeback race. I think Mike is going to do pretty well. I feel like there's a lot that could happen in this race, and Mike knows the race well enough and sort of knows the field well enough to make it suit him. Again, people forget that Mike is a very well-rounded athlete as well. Arne Gilio's not there either. Ben Hamilton, one of the younger, I think, Kiwi pro guys, doing pretty well. Matty Hansen, if he gets anywhere near the lead on the run, like if that gap is under 5 minutes, I think Hans, he's such a good runner. Could be a real threat. And then Jamie Riddle, our boy Jamie. Jamie was on my other podcast the other day. Absolutely incredible episode if anybody wants to listen. But I am very curious to see what Jamie does here because South Africa didn't go the way I expected it to for Jamie. I think I was quite vocal about saying I thought he would really rip the swim, drive the front of the bike, and probably fall apart a little bit on the run. He had such a good race in San Francisco recently that I still don't think we're going to see Jamie win his first Ironman here, but I think that we'll probably see him feature a lot more because he didn't really feature in South Africa. He was sort of in the pack with the swim, wasn't at the front of the bike, and just sort of, finished for, I think he did an 8:06, which is incredible on debut. I think he's going to have a big impact on this race. How do you see this going?
Yeah, I tend to agree. I think I think Jamie will have a big impact because the way he starts races. And I think we're just seeing him improve really over time and the ability to drag that speed and resilience he has through a race is just getting more and more over time. So I think I can see him having a really good race here.
I've really think that we need to give the Jamie Riddle thing a bit more context. The fact that he's so young and he's already like I'm actually not that worried. Like I don't take any negatives from the fact that he wasn't, at the front of the race in South Africa because I feel like Ironman in particular it's a very hard to get your first Ironman right. Like I know we've got Vincent Louis racing Roth, Henry Schoeman racing Roth. I'm probably not expecting as many fireworks out of those guys, and I feel like Jamie is, as we're seeing, getting better and better and better every time he races. I don't expect him to win here, but yeah, as I said, and I think what you're saying as well is I think we're going to see him improve. Like I think he'll do better than he did in South Africa. I wouldn't be surprised. I could see him podiuming, to be honest. I think we could see him get to the front, or to, like if he could potentially be off the bike in first place, and the gap could be big enough that only a few people catch him. I feel like the secret to this race is that they cannot let Brayden Currie get to the front of the race. If Brayden Currie gets off the bike first, I think he'll win it. So I think that they need to be a little bit strategic on the bike in particular. But the really interesting point of this race is that, to be honest, it feels like we're saying this about more and more races lately, but there's some incredible swim power in this event. Braden's a good swimmer. Matthew Marquardt, excellent swimmer. Uh, you know, Jamie Riddle, excellent swimmer. Josh Amberg, excellent swimmer. So yeah, I think the pace is going to be on from the gun, and then this is a good, honest, undulating, like it's a strongman course. Doesn't have the huge climbs of somewhere like Nice, but it's lumpy, and I think it's going to suit those stronger cyclists. And then it's a deceptively hot run. So yeah, could be good racing. One little thing I want to ask you about is a name that was on this start list and now isn't. And it's an athlete that we saw feature really, really prominently a few years ago and has sort of gone MIA recently, and that's Max Newman. Now, he was on the start list for this. We saw Max do St. George 70.3. I think he finished maybe 11th. Has to get a ratification for his world champ slot, and it's getting pretty close. What do you think's going on with Max Newman?
I don't know. He's still on this start list I've got here, but
He ain't
as you
racing.
say,
I
he's
know he's not.
racing.
I know he's not racing.
Um, I don't know. What do you know? Do you know something that I don't know?
No, I know he was injured. I know that he was injured and had surgery at the end of last year, and from all reports was like ready to rip it. But we're in June, and I've not seen him rip it. And
No. I mean, it may just be an extended recovery. He may just, be working his way back in, having had whatever surgery he had.
it's a long, yeah. I mean, yeah. I hope so because again, Max is like Australia's great hope. I think in recent years, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, I feel like it must take something pretty serious for him not to go and do this race. If he want, look, if the choice is that I'm not going to go after the world champs in Nice, fair enough. But if there's any sort of plan to try to do that, you're sort of you're starting to cut it a little bit fine, right?
Yeah, you are starting to cut it a little bit fine. Yeah. We're getting to that point of the year where you really want to have racked up that qualifier, and then you'd be able to go away and work on the rest of your summer before we get to Nice.
All right, podium
I mean,
picks.
I hope that all is well with him and that he is just, gonna emerge at some point and
Hmm.
go back to how he was.
Me too. I agree. Podiums. Who's your pick? Give me your top three. Or we'll do our thing.
I
Start
think
third, second.
Yeah, yeah. Third, I'm gonna put Matt Hansen in third.
I think that's a decent shout. I'm going to go Jamie Riddle.
Fair enough. I'm gonna put Jamie Riddle in second, mate.
I'm going to put Brayden Currie in second.
And who's your first? I'll make you go first for the
Mike
first.
Phillips.
Yeah, I was gonna say exactly the same thing. I think Mike Phillips is gonna win this race.
He's been, I honestly, and this, obviously I'm Mike's manager, so take it with a grain of salt. But I just feel like Mike has had that, he's on that trajectory. That New Zealand performance was, again, I just don't think people realize how impressive that race was. And I honestly feel that if he hadn't have crashed in New Zealand, South Africa, he probably would have been on for a podium that day. He was third here last year, just behind Brayden Currie, like 20 seconds behind Brayden, and that was with Matty Burton absolutely ripping the legs off everybody on that bike course. You take him out, I think that, yeah, I think Mike could do really well because he's just, again, such a well-balanced athlete. So that's who my money's on. Let's talk about the women. The women's start list is significantly smaller than the men's, but we've still got some good names. We've got Hannah Berry, Lottie Wilms, Kylie Simpson, Regan Hollyoak, Penny Slater, Rebecca Clark, Jackie Herring has come across from the US, and Charlotte McShane is making her Ironman debut.
Yeah, what other names on there?
Sort of it, mate, to be
That's about
honest.
it, isn't it? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Charlotte McShane, ITU athlete, short course athlete for the last couple of years, did a 70.3 in Geelong, which might have been her first. Stepping up to the Ironman. You know Charlotte McShane, don't you?
I do, yeah.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
It'd be really interesting to see how how I remember from the Super League days. She's a really lovely human being. Be really interesting to see how she goes on the Ironman distance.
Now, it's interesting to see Hannah Berry on this start list because Hannah opted out of Ironman New Zealand to focus on the T100. And here we are, the same weekend as the T100, doing an Ironman. So I'm like, okay, seems like a little bit of mixed messaging. I think Hannah won this race. I mean, that's probably the reason she wants to go and defend her title.
Yeah.
Plus, there's a lot less travel. Hannah is a very strong athlete. I don't really, I mean, Jackie Herring to me is the obvious one who could really mix things up. She was very unlucky the last time she raced, which was in Hamburg actually, where she had the mechanical. She yeah, DNF. I think there was an issue getting her wheel support, so she had a flat and couldn't finish. I think Jackie Herring is so strong on the run that yeah, if she's anywhere near it, I think we could see Jackie win this thing. Yeah, Kylie Simpson also really really good runner, but has just been a little bit off the last few years. Penny Slater very solid. Rebecca Clark back from injury. I think Bex is great. I want to see Bex probably do a few races to sort of get it back. I don't think she's probably going to win the thing on her return, but you can expect the swim to be there. Yeah, Charlotte McShane very curious, and Regan Hollyoak who won Ironman New Zealand as well. So do we do?
Yeah, I think Charlotte McShane is the most interesting athlete for me on this start list.
Mm,
She's very small. You know, she'd
very.
be able to get incredibly aero on that bike if she's dialed in on that TT bike. So if she's got some power, then couple that with quite how aero she'll be able to get. It'll be she might be able to absolutely fly on that bike, mate.
And can run. Decent runner too.
Definitely can run. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, again, so I looking at this, the fact you got Lotta Wilms, who's a very strong swimmer, Rebecca Clark, very strong swimmer. Yeah, I would assume Charlotte McShane's going to be front pack as well, just from the short course. So yeah, it'll be fascinating to see the dynamic. This is such a good spectator race. It's 4 laps on the run, and it's right in the center of Cairns, and it runs up and down the
Oh,
Esplanade.
that's
It's a brilliant, 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 brilliant run course. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'd love to see them do a World Championships here if they ever go back to rotate in the Ironman World Titles. I think Cairns would be such a great spot to do a World Championship race. It gives me Kona vibes. Like truly, it's Kona like. It's not Kona because it's not in the middle of a lava field, but the town itself gives me kind of Kailua vibes. But yeah, Cairns Ironman happening this weekend. Let's move on to the other Ironman that is happening this weekend, and that is where's that one, James? I'm going to let you try to pronounce the name of that one.
I don't know, mate. Where is it?
I know it's in Austria, but do you have the actual title of the event there for me? I'd like you to have a crack at it.
Um, I think it's
Let's
Carton
just
Klagenfurt.
Clarton Klagenfurt sounds pretty good actually. That was well done. Ironman
Probably
Austria.
Klagenfurt or something like that.
Ironman Austria is a male pro only event. This year we've got athletes like Dennis Chevron, Michael Weiss, Clement Mignon, Lucas
They
Stahl, Lucas Watt, Joe Skipper, Cam Worth. I'm assuming Cam Worth ain't racing. Josh Lewis, Jason
leader of the Pro
Pole,
Series, mate. He's got to go and maintain.
David Pleasure, Guy Crawford. Anyone else there that I is standing out to me?
No
Not
one's really
really.
jumping out. But I mean, the names you mentioned, we could have a really good race on our hands. Um, Dennis Chevreau, Michael Weiss, Filet Mignon, Joe Skipper. If Camworth were there, it'd be interesting. He probably ain't gonna be, you know. So we could have a hot race on our hands there at the front of things. How's Joe feeling?
He's a good mate. Just come back from altitude. He was up in Font-Romeu for about a month, or just under 3 months. Yeah, getting very very confident, which is good. I think that New Zealand
I feel
result
like
did
we
him.
haven't seen him race for ages.
Yeah, since March, since I'm in New Zealand,
Yeah.
he was meant to race Oceanside but got sick, so didn't start. And then all focus is on this. But I have a feeling we might see him on another start list pretty soon. To be honest, so who knows? Who
A
knows?
little nugget of information there, eh?
Who knows? But no, mate, no surprise here. I'm picking Joe for the win. No, and I genuinely just because I think he'll win it because I do think that whatever issues he had last year seem to be behind him. And yeah, Joe said it 100 times. He's sort of realized that any race that has a massive motorbike presence makes it very difficult for him to get to the front because those leaders get towed along. So he's intentionally trying to avoid those races. And it's sort of, he knows he's going to get out with a swim deficit. He's riding so well at the moment. So he'll ride up to the front. Then, can drop a sub 240 marathon. Again, similar to Laura Phillip. I still can't believe that we've got Laura Phillip running a 2:38 marathon.
Yeah, I know.
It's
No,
absolutely
I
mental.
mean, I think it would be great to see Joe win this race. I'd like to see him regain some of that, just continue the confident regaining mission that he's on,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
carry that forward into the rest of the year.
Yeah, so I don't have much more to say about it. Good luck to everybody, but let's talk about the other big race that's happening this. I don't know if you're aware of this, mate, but there's a Tier 100 race happening in Vancouver.
Is the bike gum?
Do you know what's really exciting about that Tier 100 race in Vancouver?
I don't know. What's really exciting about that T100 race in Vancouver?
Maya Kingma's race in the Tier 100 race in Vancouver.
Yeah, that is cool, isn't it? It is cool. She put up that picture of her on a TT bike getting dialed in the other day on Instagram, and it made me go, yeah, this is what we want. This is what we wanted for a while. I think she could have a real impact on this race.
Oh, mate, again, everybody loves a bit of hyperbole. I think Mike could win this race. Like, I think Mike could win this race genuinely. Again, maybe I have rose tinted goggles, but I'm so keen. I really I don't think people realize what she can do. If she is the most Taylor Nib like athlete I've seen come from short course to race this distance now. Like I think if we think about what Taylor Nib did, I think Maya is a better runner. So I think that she'll be able to swim probably better than Taylor. I think she can bike as well, if not slightly better. Probably I'd say Taylor's going to be better because Maya hasn't got the TT experience, but I think she's a better runner than Taylor Nib. And it's her first middle distance race, really. So there's also that like element of ignorance. And the
Yeah.
fact that it's 18, not 21K, I think suits Maya really, really well as well. But let's go through the whole start list. I don't just want to. I went on about my Kingma for hours the other day. We'll do the women's first. In the women's race, we've got Taylor Knibb, Ash Gentle, Julie Darren, Megan McDonald, Flora Duffy, Lucy Byram, Lucy Charles-Barclay, India Lee, Alice Beto, Paula Finlay, Dominika Jaminicki, Kaida Kivjova, Marlene de Boer, Ellie Salthouse, Mike Kima, Daniela Kleiser, Grace Theck, Taylor Spivey, Laura Madsen, Holly Lawrence, and Jessica Learmonth. It's a pretty good start list, mate.
It is a good start list. It's a really interesting start list. Got some really strong swimmers in there. Like you say, you're gonna have people coming out at the front with a bit of a gap, I think, to certain others. Um, I can see a group like Lucy Charles Barkley, India Lee, um, um, whose name were we just saying a second ago, who I
Taylor
can't
Knibb,
remember.
Mike Kingma, I'd put all of
Taylor
them in
Nib,
that front group.
Maya King, yeah, exactly. All these people coming out
Jess
together at the
Learmonth.
front. Jess Learmonth, exactly. We got and then within that good swim group, they're all good bikers as well. So we could almost see this race dividing up into two kind of sections with a really strong swim to bike group and then a
Flora
chase
Duffy.
group chasing
Fuck.
on.
I think, again, if you don't make the lead, If you're not at the front of this swim, it's game over. I do not
Yeah,
see,
agreed.
I do not see a pathway to victory at this race in the women's. If you are not in that front pack, it is impossible as far as I'm concerned to win because that group, as we just said, like literally, there's 6 or 7 athletes. Alice Beto, another short course athlete, going to be a really good strong swimmer. Like that front group could be quite significant. I really think Taylor, the 3 athletes in particular, I think are going to rip it are going to be Taylor, Maya, and Jess Learmonth. I think those 3 will probably end up pulling away from. And again, I not to discredit Lucy Charles. I know I've just been praising how balanced she is. I just feel like those 3 in particular are so fucking strong on the bike. I think those 3 are going to ride away. And I honestly think that's probably where the podium is going to go. I mean, Jess Learmonth has had the injury and she's getting better every week. So I say that I don't think Jess will probably podium. But I really feel like I mean I'm pretty confident in who I'd pick as my podium already, to be honest. And then there's people that I'm not even sure about, like a Flora Duffy. We didn't really get to see her feature in Singapore. She had a little problem, but she is as capable of being at the front of this race as any of the athletes I've just spoken about as well. So, mate, the women's start list is pretty great, and I'm definitely very excited because of the Maya factor. But do you want to do it? Do you want to give our podium picks?
Yeah, go ahead. Who's your third place?
My third place is going to be, God, I just said that. Lucy Charles-Barclay.
Interesting. Exactly the same.
Second place.
Second place, I'm torn now. I'm torn between two. Um,
Oh, he's contemplating, guys. He's looking very pensive.
I'm not going to put Taylor Knibb in my podium
Wow. Okay, who you put in?
because I don't think she's got that. I don't know. I'm just not
No,
putting her on there for
I agree. I think you make her. The reason I think it's valid is because she didn't get a big enough gap over Julie Darren recently. Julie ran her down. The counter, I'd say, is that that lead group is going to be big enough that there might be enough athletes that pull her along. But I still think there could be other athletes and they could drop a faster run than her. So I think
yeah, agreed.
it's a completely
That's
valid
what I
one.
don't think she's got the bike power to get away from this group.
No, she doesn't.
And I then you come off that bike, and I think there are some runners in here that'll be able to beat her on the run. So I'm going to put
Do
in
it.
second place. I'm going to put India Lee.
Okay, interesting, mate. The form she's in, I wouldn't be surprised. I, yeah, I think that's a very legitimate. I think it's a very legitimate pick, actually. Fuck. Okay. I'm going to pick Taylor in for second place. I am. I'm just going to stick her there. She's never not been up there. Like it's kind of like she's not won them, but she's still up there or thereabouts. I don't think she's going to get dropped on the bike. Like I said, I think that lead group of could actually be 3 of them that pull away from that second group, and then it's just a case of who's the best runner. And I think Taylor could. She's not terrible, so she could probably hold on for second. Is what I'm thinking. I think we got the same pick for the winner, have we?
Probably, yeah. Just it's kind of a
Roll the dice.
I mean,
A lot of pressure for her.
there's logic behind it, but
Same.
it could just as well not happen as happen. But yeah, if Maya wins it, that'd be great.
I'm
We've
picking
wanted
Maya
her to
too.
race the T100 for ages, so
I this is genuinely not, again, just bias or anything. I feel I've said it enough times. Like, that's the thing. If people listen back to the show, they're not going to know that we're just picking this out of the hat. Like, we've been saying this for literally years at this point. But that result that she had in Algero, again, she got beat by some of the best runners in short course, right? And she still got fourth place. She led the front of it. She was front pack bike. She literally rode Cassandra up to the front and then just ripped it. That group put minutes into everybody behind them. And she still managed to hold off while a lot of the others in that group got, dropped or passed by Leonie Perry, and that Maya held on for fourth. I'm really the only question mark is the TT bike. Like, the only question mark I have is just that TT bike thing. But Maya is such a cyclist that I think she's going to be okay. Like, she's been doing crit racing. She's been winning crit races or podium at crit races. Yeah, I'm picking Maya for the win. Big shock
cool.
there.
Same
We're
boat.
doing we're
Same
doing
boat.
really well for time, mate. So let's just, I guess, go through the men's race quickly, give our picks, and we can wrap it up for this week. But the men's start list, we got Martin Van Riel, Kyle Smith, Rico Bogan, Jake Burt, Whistle Yellow Gain, Sam Long, Jackson Laundry, Peter Heinrich, Yuri Kulin, Frederick Funk, Mika Newt, Gregory Barnaby, Justus Nischlag, Antonio Benito Lopez, Jason West, Nicholas Mann, Aaron Royal, Panagiotis Bitados, Miguel Hidalgo, and Morgan Pearson.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. Van Riel wasn't on form last time. I mean, he was the chosen one of this kind of racing, this middle distance T100 style racing. So whether he'll be able to spring back to form will be, I think, a talking point for this one. Obviously, I imagine you're going to pick Jake Birtwistle for the win, are you?
Fucking never again, mate. Absolutely not. No, I'm not. And he'll probably win the thing as a result of that. But no, I'm not picking him this time. I'm
Carl Smith will be
really,
up there. Rico Bogan, running in confidence after his debut win.
I feel like Bidados didn't really get the chance last time. He DNF'd quite early in the bike, and I'm still very keen to see what he does on the run. The big watch this space for me is Miguel Hidalgo. Won WTCS Algero a couple of weeks ago, podiumed, I believe, in Abu Dhabi. Young 25-year-old kid, very, very good. I think he could be very, very dangerous. So he's definitely one to watch for me. I feel like Rico was so impressive, like so impressive in San Francisco that it's sort of most hard to look past him. And I don't really see the dynamic being, no, that's a lie. They're not going to come out as one big group on the swim. I think there's definitely going to be packs and things like that. So yeah, look, let's just pick up podiums and we'll wrap it up for this week. So who's your podium? Third place.
Third place. I'm going to put a bit of a wild card into this one because we haven't seen it at the T100. But yeah, I think Sam Long might be riding some confidence and make his way up to third.
I love to see it. I'm going to pick Yellow Gaines for third place.
Fair enough. Then
Second
I'm gonna
place.
have Rico Bogan in second.
I'm going to pick Miguel Hidalgo in second.
Fair enough. Who's your first place?
Rico Bogan.
Martin Van Riel for me. I think the he'll be back.
He has to at some point. It's inevitable, right? I think that's an extremely valid pick. I'd love to see. I love Martin Van Riel. So, yeah, I don't know enough about this. I actually have to do a bit of research. The timing couldn't be worse for me. It's like 2:15 a.m. on Sunday morning, so I'm not watching it live. And then I wake up and it's spoilt anyway. So, um, you have to watch it, mate. You have to carry the episode next week. That's your homework.
I'll watch it.
Good man. Good man. Jimbo, that's us done. If people want to find out more about Talking Triathlon, where do they need to go?
If you want to support the show, jump on at patreon.com/talking triathlon. If you want to
Give it
follow
some,
Tim,
give it
he's
some oomph, mate. Come
14
on.
on
Here we
Instagram,
go.
and I'm at Bale.James85 on Instagram. We're on Instagram as at Talking Triathlon. If you want to join the Patreon group, you'll get access to the monthly bonus episodes and the social group, and we'll put you in the WhatsApp group, which is the best place to find all real-time triathlon news. And if you're not in the Patreon group and you haven't got access to talk to us directly, leave a comment on YouTube because that's where we're most likely to see it.
Perfect. You nailed it, mate. I love the pick up there, Jimbo. A pleasure. We will be back for ourselves tomorrow to record the bonus episode, but for everybody else, we'll be back next week. And until then, Jimbo, I'll talk to you later.
Cheerio.